today's notes are not going to feel super new because we are really just combining 2 previous days of notes. So we're solving by square roots, but when we get to that step of the problem, we're going to have the square root of a negative number, but now we know how to deal with that, so that's not going to be any kind of a big deal. Remember that the square root of -1 is the imaginary number I. So in this first problem, we would get rid of the square by square rooting both sides. We have to remember to put a plus minus in front of that. If you need to, you can take this square root of -36 off to the side and really break it down. But typically what I do is I see that there's a negative under here, so I know that there's an I, and the square root of 36 is 6. So this one is plus or minus 6i. On your assignment today, it's going to say x equals, and it's going to give you a blank, and then x equals, and it's going to give you a blank. So you would type in 6i into one of those and -6i into the other one. So it's really helping you to see that there are 2 answers here. The plus minus means there's 2 answers. One of them is the positive, one of them is the negative. Number 2, what do you think we need to do first? Yep, subtract 26. So we have 2x squared equals -36. And I know you're looking at that -36 and thinking, ooh, let's take the square root, that's 6i. But we can't take the square root yet. We have to first divide by 2. So x squared equals -18. Now we square root both sides. Okay. I typically skip writing the square root of -1. I just know square root of a negative, I'm going to have an I in my answer. This splits into the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. If you want to put that square root of -1 in there, you can. The square root of 9 is 3. We have an I, and we have a square root of 2. So x equals plus or minus, what order should I write this? 3i square root of 2. So in your Big Ideas math assignment, you would type 3i square root of 2 into one of the boxes, and you would type in -3i square root of 2 into the other box. Okay, that's the first type of problem. Now let's look at the other type. The other type is when we have parentheses. Okay, this is huge. You cannot distribute. This square is like a padlock. Okay? This 2 is a bicycle that you need to put into the shed. You can't get into the shed until you remove the padlock. So as long as that square is there, don't you dare try to put that 2 inside the parentheses because it's locked. You can't. But this is 2 times. How do you undo times? Divide. So x plus 3 squared equals -24. Now we can square root both sides. All right, square root of 24, square root of -24, there's a -1, I think there's a 4 and a 6. So that's a 2, there's an I, can't break down the square root of 6. So x plus 3 equals plus or minus 2i square root of 6. What next? Subtract 3, and when we subtract 3, we need to stick that in front of the plus minus. Okay, how does this look in Big Ideas Math? 3 plus 2i square root of 6 is one of your answers. 3 minus 2i square root of 6 is your other answer. And thankfully, my class that's with me right now is very observant and noticed that I forgot the negative in front of that 3. So yes, it's negative 3 plus 2i square root of 6 and negative 3 minus 2i square root of 6. Sorry about that. On number 4, the first thing I would do is add 4 on both sides. And then I would divide by negative 4 because you cannot distribute. And you may want to put somewhere in your notes, do not distribute. All right. So I have the quantity x minus 5 squared equals, do I have to keep the negative on the bottom? No, it can go anywhere. So that's negative 9 over 4. It's best to put it on the top. We need to square root both sides. All right, so this is the square root of negative 9 over the square root of 4. The square root of positive 9 is 3, and there's a negative under there, so there's an I. What's the square root of 4? 2. So plus minus 3i over 2. So then we add 5 to both sides, and we get x equals 5 plus minus 3i over 2. So in Big Ideas Math, you'd have 5 plus 3i over 2, and you would have 5 minus 3i over 2. And there are fraction buttons in there. It gives you that math keyboard so that you can get that fraction thing and make it look just like that. Okay, your assignment is in Big Ideas Math. So remember, you have to go to Clever, and then click on Big Ideas Learning, Big Ideas Math, whatever that button says. And then it's called 3.2 Part 2. I think it's the only assignment that's in there right now for you. And technically it's due on Monday, November 30th, but don't wait until then to get it done. Get it done now.